Hey everyone, this is Soul, and we are back for another episode of Leak Season. Yeah, so we have, I believe, five. Yeah, we have five leaks to look at. We're gonna revisit one of them so I can talk a little bit of smack about something else. And I want to remind folks that, as usual, with all of these Leak Season episodes. Well, one, this is going to be live, as many of them have been so far, but also keep in mind that as we go over these leaks, I'm going to approach them with the mindset that these are all super fake and totally not real for all sorts of reasons. They're all ridiculous. I'm going to make fun of them. I'm going to talk trash. I'm going to kind of disrespect them. Sorry. But we're looking at this with the kind of view of fun and, not trying to take these things too seriously. So first thing I want to do is revisit an older leak. This one came out beginning of February. It was called Ashes of Galakaros, and I pronounced it as Galakaros, and it didn't really occur to me that this was supposed to be a play on the Galapagos Islands. Hey, fancy that. That's so clever. Woo. So anyway, World of Warcraft Ashes of Galakaros, and I just need to read this top part here. Hey. I don't work on Team 2, but I'm good friends with someone who does. There are a few Blizzard announcements that coming that are currently scheduled for February 18th. These have been in the pipeline for a while and were originally planned to be announced at BlizzCon 2022 before it got canceled. Announcements for Diablo and Hearthstone are also coming, but won't be ready in February. Bullshit. Today's the 22nd. This was supposed to go down on the 18th. Didn't happen, which kills a lot of pretty much all the credibility of everything that's down here, which is otherwise a very well-written sort of story and premise. I liked it. Maybe at some point when leak season is over, I'll revisit this and I'll talk about some of the best ones, kind of like in a retrospective of sorts. But this was one of the better ones. Unfortunately, it killed itself with coming up with its own premise and source and coming up with a date, because it gave an expiration of it gave an expiration of how long this thing could be relevant or sailing. Well, given that it's the 18th, I think that's on a Friday. Yeah, it was on a Friday, so that actually wouldn't have been a bad time to make an announcement for an expansion, because it would sort of simulate the idea of a BlizzCon. BlizzCons happen, or they start on Fridays, and then over the course of several days, there's interviews done and things like that. The reason why this was bullshit pretty much from the start, almost from the start, was because they made it sound like news is just gonna drop on the 18th. So what I was kind of waiting for on the 18th would have been an announcement to the announcement. There's no way, there's almost 0% chance that Blizzard would announce something as big as a WoW expansion and not want as many people at their screens and phones and whatever all here to share in that moment all at once. That's the whole point of BlizzCons, kind of, sort of, is to gather around all these folks, play the big cinematic drop, live for everyone, and then everyone can be like, oh, this is what we got, all at once. Or we would cheer or stuff like that. Cheers and jeers and reactions and all that. Some of you may recall that for patch 9.1, that was supposed to have its own kind of, hey, share in the moment sort of announcement. Problems happen, Black Lives Matter, and that led to some weirdness. The takeaway though is that there was an announcement for the upcoming announcement, and that's something that I fully expect to hear in the next couple weeks or so. That Blizzard will be like, hey everybody, we're gonna talk about what's gonna happen in the World of Warcraft next in a number of days, or next week, or 10 days, whatever. They're going to make an announcement for an announcement. That feels like set in my head because of what, how they want to deliver this. They're not just gonna drop the trailer. No way. I see no chance of that happening unless they just feel like they don't give a shit about about how they want to reveal stuff going forward. So it makes something like this like, whatever. If the premise on this was was a little bit different, that'd be cool. But that's the main reason why I wanted to point that out. Like, the announcement isn't just gonna get dropped. We're gonna get transitioned into it. So anyway, Rise of the Earthmother. I caught a glimpse of some of the March expansion reveal information recently, and these guys at Blizz will most likely never actually find out who it is, who I am. It's not exactly maximum security where I found the documents. The way Denuser walked in after I suddenly left was comedy gold. I dare someone to ask him what I mean. Why do you add... Why? I just talked about don't have a bad premise. Or don't have a premise at all. Why do you try to name drop? And because there's a lot to unpack here. Like this asserts that I'm sure to a certain capacity, to a certain extent, the office is open. There are people that are going in and out. But because there are so few people going in and out, they know exactly who goes in and out. You got to badge in, dude. So, yeah, I don't know what it's like inside the building, but I have a feeling that with even the smallest bit of like forensics, with security forensics or whatever, you can find out when people walk in and out of the building with very little trouble. Anyway, expansion name is still up in the air, but current phrase is Rise of the Earthmother. Why would the current phrase be that? Why not just have a code name like the one that was mentioned, I don't know, like Walnut or whatever. In this expansion, Azeroth, Anshe, Elune, the Titan Keepers, Rathian, and the Dragon aspects are all very important. Something that the Jailer does in the 9.2 encrypted raid cinematic causes havoc on Azeroth during, quote, the Embrace. Is this similar to Sargeras' Embrace, where he's like spooning Azeroth, having his weird Titan legs wrapped around the thing, about to stab it, or who knows what he was actually going to do with it if he was left unchecked. It causes very ancient things to emerge to the unsurprise of certain characters and reveals secret lands. The aspects and Titan Keepers are at odds with each other about what has been told and what is actually true. Think Warcraft and Chronicle discrepancies. That actually sounds kind of fun. If they had like a kind of like a tongue-in-cheek moment where it's like, no, it's this, no, it's like this, well, we understand it as this, and Dragon's like, well, this is a lot of bullshit. Level cap is 60. The idea here, level cap is 60. Okay, the idea here, I believe, would be that you no longer gain levels, but instead there would be a new system in where there will still be the several hour long main storyline you play through once. This is the way that this is expressed is like super headcanon and is not like hey, I found the documents and here you go. No one gives a shit what your idea or what you believe is. You want to leak. That's it. Yeah, it's dumb. This person is very novice at leak season writing. Tisk. Yeah, man. New systems. Instead of levels, they want each expansion to have many extra storylines separate to choose from to gain star ranks. The idea here is that each meaty side quest chain will have an emblem, each corresponding to each of the dragon aspects and the most well-known Titan Keepers, as in Odin. Could be expanded to have more emblems for lore like Vol'jin, Titanic Beings like ENR, group entities like the Scarlet Crusade, etc. These emblems are strictly a PvE, open world, Mythic Zero, and cosmetic system. Unlocks include restricted hidden areas, cosmetics, resembling the emblem's corresponding entity, zone utilities, and more. I saw that Bronze Dragonflight unlocks time rifts for small areas in a zone that phase you and you have secrets. Think Dark Shore Zone, but smaller reskin subzones surrounded by fog. Why are you telling us to use our imagination? You have documents, so just read the documents, you bad leaker. You only wear up to a few emblems at a time, almost like a non-player power version of talents that you change while rested. Player ends to be announced. Coming with a new secondary profession, homemaking, Inscription makes recipes for the decor and has color variants with inks. Blacksmiths can repair certain pieces of furniture like weapon and armor racks. Tailor leatherworking can make things like upholstery for homemakers. Secondary profession via lumberjacking for wooden materials. Profession quest return, but for story recipes, cosmetics, and not skill ups. Clicking your bed plays a falling asleep animation to log off your character. It's a weird thing to see in a single document. There's a lot more, but I may not be able to view the source again. Sadly, Ian and Steve are Man, if you're gonna make a joke, just say it's a joke at the beginning. Do us a favor. Don't waste our time. Next, World of Warcraft, Eversong Adventures. Hello, everyone. I am from Ukraine, but my sister is tripping to California, USA for a business trip to Activision Blizzard headquarters. He is emailing me every night, leaks about the new expansion, and it is not a lot because she has to sign a contract of Law of Silence, but there are a few details. Interesting sets of broken English here. Yeah. If anything, what this person should have done, if this is real, is to just say it in your own language. That's it. Just do that. That would have been better, actually. That would have made it sound a bit more credible because you'd be able to obfuscate it via translation. That wouldn't have been bad. New expansion, World of Warcraft, Eversong Adventures. Okay, basically Sylvanas dies in Shadowlands, but she will get resurrected by her last Valkyr servant, who we've all killed, by the way. But this is in the first one's home. Supreme magic causes... Remember, this is supposedly from a translation, so whatever. Supreme magic causes her to resurrect as a full blood elf. She is not undead. Oh, yeah, so all the parts work again. She will lead the blood elves. Hey, dude, don't mess with Lorthamar. Lorthamar's my boy. He's cool, man. Yeah, don't do that. Plot: she is now saved and will lead the fight to attack a mysterious enemy. Two old gods fight each other and we help Rathian fight them. But what about the jailer? Well, he is permanently dead and the company decide to not use him in future plot because players do not like him. Well, I can't argue with that. And you guessed correct, expansion will be in Dragon Isles, where it is like Miss Pandaria. The big villain is Old God's influenced. Old God is under Eversong Woods, which is destroyed, and now a level 70 PvP zone like Wintergrass, but huge, and always like Battle of Ashram, but no instance. You know, Eversong Woods is okay. It's a zone, right? It's a zone, but it's not that big, and that'd be weird to have just outside of Silvermoon City. Hey, max level PvP zone, boom. Just like that. That would kind of disappoint me a little bit if they just turned that entire region into a new Wintergrass. I mean, it would be cool, but it's like the update that we didn't expect and we didn't want. But it could be kind of cool, maybe. 100% no tinkers because classes are too complicated to balance. That's a weird way of. That's a weird leak. So this person walked into Blizzard HQ and somebody told them, yeah, no tinkers because classes are too complicated to balance. 2 new allied races. Oh, that fucks it up too. This is more belief than anything. I don't believe that there will be any new, quote, allied races, because the premise of allied races were that it was for the purpose of kind of underlining the Battle for Azeroth expansion, faction versus faction. And so allied races were like, hey, I'm allying with this faction, or I'm allying with that faction. So by this person saying new allied race, that kind of kills it too, more than it already is. New banner system. Banners are like covenants, but cross-faction in PvE. There will be 5, and 2 of them are faction only. No word on what that means for cross-faction. Doesn't tell me much. Class overhaul instead of new classes. They want to get rid of armor specializations and introduce random currency points for raid gear like old PvP system. That's actually not the worst. It's actually not the worst idea to have. To kind of go more all in with currency based gearing up to a certain level, or even at the highest level, depending on how that goes. It's not the worst thing. Mythic Dungeon is removed. Okay. 1 raid difficulty, a 22-man. What the fuck? Remove profession caps, so now you can learn all of them. Unfortunately, there's more paid shop things, but I don't know what they are. We'll try to keep up the leaks as I learn. He even edited it because I made a mistake. You need more. You gotta fix more than just this, dude. Eversong Adventures. So it's like everything takes. So forget. Wait. Eversong Adventures. Correct. It'll be in Dragon Isles. But the title is Eversong Adventures. It's all over the place, man. See what happens when we get close to the tail end of leak season? We just get that. We get the remnants of what's left of leak season. Next. Absolutely not fake leak. Oh, this is legit. World of Warcraft 2, it calls itself. It leaked from translation teams. See, that's a better premise. Now we can get all sorts of mistakes wrong, and we can rely on, bad translation, whatever. Came from China. It was translated from this to this. Here we go. 925, part of a pre-patch. They don't have time to do it in 9.2, probably from cinematic script. After end of fight with Zuwal in the Sepulchre, Azeroth is heavily damaged and awakens, but Sargeras' sword gets deeper into her body. Titans appear and pull out the sword, but they can't do anything more. No, dude, you don't pull. Dude, that would be like Amantul pulling, doing the whole Yasiraj thing again, where he just yanked that sucker out, one-shot him, but then it caused immense damage to the planet. Like, whoops, my bad. So Amantul might do it again. Oh, there's a sword in here. Rip. And we've all learned, if you get stabbed, the last thing you want to do is just pull the thing out, because then you might just bleed out, and that would suck. I mean, I get it, it's going deeper, whatever, but there's more surgical shit you can do. Amantul, you're not a doctor, right? You're a time warping godlike deity, but do you have a PhD? No. Shut the fuck up. All right? They sit down, all right? Sheesh. Sit down on that big ass chair. So Azeroth reshaping back to planetary form, but it's a clean black sphere without nothing. So this is gonna happen in 925. Okay. 925, content will be built around giving back life to Azeroth. With the help of Loon and others, we get access to facilities similar to the Sepulchre, but nothing from Shadowlands can't go back, so players will be stuck in the Shadowlands for eons? So this kind of forgets about the whole, hey, we made a gateway so that we can go back and all that. We get a small raider dungeon focused on the fight with the light and so suddenly it's a fight with the light and the void. This is just 925. Guys, we're not even at the expansion yet. Focused on the fight with the light and the void to get things which we need from them to rebuild Azeroth, also because they need more time to finish the new game. Probably 2023. So in order for them to give themselves time to fit a 2023 release or whatever, they're gonna make more content so that they can push things back. Okay. In the final reveal in cinematic, we'll see two little girls running happily on New Azeroth across farms to a city full of people. And then after a while, one of them will say in a nice deep voice, thank you, Alun, and disappear as blue gold light into ground. Then Alun transforms, who I guess was in there already, transforms into a wisp form and will fly around Azeroth and finally appears on night sky as number 2 in the World of Warcraft 2 logo. Damn. We haven't even gotten to the new stuff yet. We're just talking about like the conclusion of Shadowlands. Oh, this guy is just... Woo. This guy drank or smoked something. So eons go by. So super time skip. Everything that we've known for the past 17 years is just gone. Except for Shadowlands. You know. Clea and Pelagos are like, so what do you want to do? And then what would we do? Time skip in that sort of time skip. Anyway, WoW 2.0. The old game will still be accessible from the launcher or in-game something. Or why is it or? This shit would have been decided already. Yeah, don't tell us it might be one thing or something totally freaking different. Yeah, that'd be silly. Depends on achievement point. Okay, something depends on achievement points, pets, and mounts. And WoW players will get a unique mount, pet, and transmog on start of WoW 2. There will be fewer pets and mounts in the game, but with customization like skills, skins. So the fewer mounts. Say goodbye to all. No more shop mounts. Pets, only skins. It's hard to read. No more shop mounts. Pets, only skins for in-game mounts. Which is the same thing. Isn't it? Because we love to be like, that's just a reskin of another mount. So it's kind of the same thing. New engine. Wow, this guy does not know what he's talking about. New engine with more polys. With more polys and higher texture resolution. This is one of those long ones, isn't it? Oh man, this dude laid down the gauntlet. Okay. Okay. Still cartoon graphic, but with more details. Like current WoW cinematics with facial animations. They already are. So can we get more in-game engine cinematics and cutscenes with player character? Fortunately, some races didn't make it into WoW 2. So no more gnomes, goblins, and furries as playable races, and if yes, they will have more humanoid forms like cat girls in 14. More customization, hide, boobs, hips. Oh boy. In League season, you have to read to the end. Fuck. Fuck. Just a reminder, folks, the navigation thing will let you skip to the thing that you want. Here we go. Thank you, by the way, Woods. That helped. Fuck, man. Still Holy Trinity and tab targeting, but healers and tanks will be more focused on DPS. They can do good damage, almost same as DPS classes if they don't need to use healing or defensive abilities. This dude is pretty much saying, hey, you know what? I think we're just going to turn WoW into Final Fantasy 14. Let's see if we get to like, hey, you can just have one character and be everything. Classes and specs should remain as now, but there are some lore questions about monks. Death Knights and Demon Hunters with tons of new animations, visuals, and customization, like Armless Warrior Master will also increase his weapon size, etc. So if you meet another warrior with a bigger weapon, you will know where is your place. And since there are no more class race abominations like Goblin Warriors, I think they're kind of cool, which existence were totally dishonest to other warrior players, Metzen is really sorry for this. Wow, this guy definitely is projecting his anime fantasy into this thing. Also, we get skill customization, skill trees with active and passive changes only visual changes. Diablo 3 style with much more choices, especially about visuals, but nothing overwhelming on the power side. Now, this is something I can get behind, not exactly as a WoW 2.0 or something like that, but if WoW was always built with a similar kind of Diablo 3 scheme where you have like your basic abilities, but then as expansions go by, the number of runes or the ways you can modify your skills, they increase without actually increasing the number of buttons that you have. So I think that'd be cool. That's a cool thing. It's more than likely not going to happen, but boy, it'd be nice. Transmog will be the same as before, but we get more color choices plus skin and costume choice. So if someone wants to look like anime girl, or use skimpy armor, or just looks lore friendly, really, or more realistic, wow, this guy. Everyone should get a chance because looks per second also matter, but please do not ask for single-minded fury, two-handed or one-handed only with transmog, but remember it's still shame. The fuck? Huge open world without loading screens, huge open world without loading screens, day and night and seasonal weather cycle. One big continent the size of Kalimdor and Eastern Kingdoms together. So like, did this whole thing just kind of go like Pangea, Azeroth or something? And two smaller ones and a lot of small islands like BFA. Not everything will be accessible at the start, but we will know about them and they will affect our world. ... So there should not be a big land hidden in mists. This is the cringiest shit, dude. Swear. I'm so sorry, guys. Zones will be larger and look much more realistic from a geographical point of view with more real natural boundaries, rivers, lakes, and mountains. So things are going to look like High Mountain. That went really well for people. So you can cross a lake in the winter but need to swim or sail or summer. Or you just teleport. World will scale around player level. More exploration and less populated parts of zones. Also, no more camps. More camps. Villages, small towns, space for player housing, professions, and NPCs like farmers and Four Winds with bigger scale and connected industry and safer roads, patrols, cargo transportation to big cities, and more quests around this. I think people need to realize that if you want to have actual player housing out in the world, as in like, it's just there and it's not phased or anything like that, you need to be able to suit like the possibility of tens of thousands of homes out there somewhere. And that these days, it's not very feasible. Thank you, by the way, for the Prime sub, guys. Much appreciation to you. Giggity. That didn't come out right. Player character should not be the savior of the universe, just a common hero, and definitely not reaching levels on most powerful NPCs. Only limited and this is like such fanfiction. Only limited and less powerful borrowed powers with more focus on class balance. So decent players, which chose, for example, warrior, and honestly learn to play their class, will not feel deceived by lame cheaters with OP class. Sorry, this is probably me. This dude wrote this to like troll me or something like that. No more disappointment chest, vaults for raid or PvP gear. Players should get gear for playing. Instead, we get raid currency and crafting mats for buying or crafting gear, but with a little bit lower item level. Okay. PvP, open world PvP is the same as Shadowlands. Oh, that's not a good sign, actually. New arenas, battlegrounds with some things like Q 1v1 with a friend or what? With some little things like Q for 1v1 with a friend in party. Wait, what does that mean? They call that a duel. Okay, so team deathmatches when only kill matters, PvP zones like Ashran with vehicle PvP, ranked PvP with same stats. Lots of this guy is very much a PvP person. You start to learn about people as you read their leaks. This person is an anime sort of fan, does not like beast races like Vulpera, trolls, otherwise unsavory things. Big PvP person, wants the big sword, the Linkin Park soundtrack while they're cleaving people in threes and all that. Yeah. Spectating mode, for instance, and PvP or PvP content, that'd be cool. They already have stuff for PvP, but it'd be cool to have it for PvE too. PvE, dungeons, mythic plus, raids, dailies, world quests, world events, world bosses, also single player content like brawlers and Torghast. Okay. Some kind of hyper foraging return, but with a lower chance and less powerful proc, because bad player or top raider who have best in slot but still playing can get a small upgrade. So this is also the kind of person that wants to keep the rabble down, right? Who cares about streamers which needs to feel Who cares about streamers which needs feel complete and have everything to make break for playing another game? Or for you top raiders which lose their spot for 2 to 3 weeks. More randomness and items to raid loot. Although, more randomness and items to raid loot, with a lower chance and less powerful proc, because of all those reasons. But more randomness and items to raid loot. Boss will still have a loot table with same items, but you can have luck and get the next item, but from another boss loot table. And it'll always be from a harder boss in raid till the last bots are... BOEs are gone, too much pay to win with token. Definitely excellent game design philosophy there. Master loot for guild groups, mythic plus system, and loot same as Shadowlands. Almost everyone likes it. Upgradable for dungeon currency and weekly chest. Max item level upgrade and currency is on account, so you can craft max item level gear on an alt. Okay. Daily gating and lockdowns are gone. You can now do heroic dungeons, event bosses, daily quests 7 times in a day if you can log in for the next 6 days. So there's weekly gating. Lore. No big bad boy. No big bad boy. At start, more focus on storytelling. Everything should be in game, even in-game version of lore books. So no more ... that happened in this book. Setting up story tension between factions. More love-hate factions with unique rewards. Also, no more advanced technology like spaceships. More fantasy than technology, same as WoW. Oh boy. We made it, guys. We made it to the end. And I'm sorry that you cannot get that time back. Moving on. World of Warcraft, the Timeless Empire. I'm personally not affiliated with Blizzard in any way, but have friends that are, and for obvious reasons, I'm not going to state what they do have. Why even say it? But anyways, here's what I've been told. If I'm being trolled or not, we'll have to see. Oh, so this guy is even skeptic of what he's told. Haha. Summary of the story. With the help of the champions, those Dornru and Kalgos, Rathian asks the Kirin Tor Council for help in finding the Dragon Isles. He believes that they're being kept hidden in a different timeline by Murazan. During Endtime, we had only defeated a version of Murazan. That's kind of a neat premise. Khadgar is reluctant at first, but Rathian tells him that even though N'Zoth has been defeated, the fight with the Void is far from over, and Azeroth is still very much in danger. Rathian's words manage to convince Khadgar to use his magic to help Nozdormu in locating the Dragon Isles, and he manages to open a portal. The Infinite Dragonflights are in control of the Dragon Isles, but they aren't the only ones there. There is a resistance formed by the different Dragonflights and Trolls and Night Elves on the Isles, and we quickly find allies within them. See, that's not bad. It's nice and safe and still kind of thrilling. There's stuff at stake, and yeah, cool. Level cap raised to 70. 6 different zones. Loratharan. Ooh, this dude dropped names. 6 different zones. Loratharan, Elevos, Balethor Mountains, Dragonfall, Sendo Jungan, Timeless Empire. We level through the first 5 zones. They are rather short, and the 6th one is the level 71. It's massive, and we progress further after defeating each raid. We're basically pushing the Infinite Dragonflight back with each raid. So dragons all day, huh? We choose a faction of the resistance to ally with, but it's tied mostly to cosmetics and open world quality of life. That's been very much the trend with all the leak season stuff. That no matter what, guys, the whole Covenant thing seemed cool. Don't attach power to it. That's been like pretty much 100% the takeaway. 8 new dungeons and 1 new raid. 2 of the dungeons are Caverns of Time dungeons. Ooh, that actually has me excited. I super enjoyed Caverns of Time. I thought it was a really cool thing that they did with that. It sucks that they stopped doing it in Cataclysm with End Time and going back to something Night Elf Land and doing all that stuff. And thankfully, this person was awake enough to say, oh, we're not going to say 3 dungeons or 2 dungeons, like, because some leaks did say that, like, 2, 3 dungeons? Are you insane? 8 new dungeons, so this is cool. I like that line. Rathian helps us forge a ring of power, which is similar to the Heart of Azeroth in terms of systems which you level up by killing dragons of the Infinite Dragonflight. Open world or instance content, it doesn't matter. There's a max cap on it, which increases each week, but no weekly cap, so you can catch up. So, seasonal thing, renown, cool. Thank you, by the way, for subbing Rhapsody. Much love. Time rifts open up throughout the zones, and you're supposed to go inside, kill a bunch of mobs, and a boss. Think Argus invasions, but you can also do them solo or with a group. They scale like Torghast does. They reward currency that you turn in at your resistance faction, and it's supposed to be the best way to keep leveling up your ring of power. This seems cool, actually. This seems nice and clean. It doesn't have a whole lot of holes for me to talk smack, unlike the last one. Yeah, this isn't bad. It sounds competent and not dull. But maybe it is kind of dull. As I'm like, oh, just a ring, and you get cool things out of it. But you know what? Maybe we'll I forgot what I was gonna say. I guess the whole thing is that this one isn't bad. All right, so this will be the last one for the day, thankfully. World of Warcraft, World Awakened expansion leak. Wow, he did it twice. World of Warcraft. If I see it again. Why? All right, part 1, short lore introduction. After the costly victory against the Yaler that left our champions drained of their anima and power gathered over decades, once more they find themselves in decades? Wait. After the costly victory that left our champions drained of their anima and power gathered over decades. So, it hasn't even been 2 decades. Oh, anyway. Time skip? They once more find themselves in Azeroth, but the world didn't stand still during their departure. Not as powerful as before, our champions are still the best Azeroth has to offer, and they still have ample opportunities to prove it on their quest to regain the power so they can once again protect the world from threats both without and within. So we're drained after the fight? Yet their biggest challenge might be finding themselves among new heroes that arose in their absence. Though young and inexperienced, they remind our champions of their early days, but these 2 different groups find common ground, or it'll spark another conflict. So is there a time skip? Or is there not a time skip? I don't know. The story arc will slowly unfold from level 10 through quests added to the leveling zones with a grand event at level 50 that start the main expansion story. Quests are heavily dragon themed and will build the narrative for the dragon. This seems like a lot's going on. So I don't quite get this. So we're drained, we're de-leveled, I guess, and there's a time skip. And it's about dragons, I guess. Following the tragic events of Shadowlands, we find our champions back on Azeroth. You already said that, yet their powers and abilities diminished greatly, almost to that of young adventurers taking their first steps in the... Oh, so we are de-leveled. Okay, all characters start at level 1 and will once again be able to level to 60. This decision comes from a few key things we want for the game going forward. How does so before I read on, how the fuck does that make sense? So what happens? So if I'm a new player, do I start like going through the 1 through 50 experience, do Shadowlands, and then go back to level 1 again? Like I prestiged or something? Or what? Yeah. So here's gonna be the fun part with these bullet points. This decision comes from a few key things we want for the game going forward. So this person's gonna try to back up the claim why this is a good thing. Leveling was always a key experience in MMO games, and we want to feel better this time around. Reaching level 60 will take 30% less time than now. So we'll be able to level to 60 in like a day. Shadowlands had a huge influx of new players who had a hard time adapting to the game. A huge dubious brave claim. We want old players to mix in with the new ones coming into the game for the first time. We hope that this will help build communities like the game used to in Classic. You know, remind me of this bullet point later, because there are things that I would love for WoW to pick up from games like Final Fantasy XIV and Lost Ark and blah blah blah. That would make things like really cool. This will be one of those lines. Anyway, new players will receive a permanent buff, New Blood, until they reach level 60 on at least one character. Okay, here we go. This will help older players to identify if their group is made up of newcomers to Azeroth. Old players will have a veteran buff until reaching level 60 on at least one character. The world will be... So they're going to have a little sprout thing until they're level 60? Older players will have a veteran buff until reaching level 60. So that goes away too? Or was this a typo? Old players will have a veteran buff when they do reach level 60. I don't know. The world will be updated to force more group interaction between players. This means tighter quest hubs and more elite quests that need a party to complete. Projection! Most of the old raids will be converted into leveling locations. The idea is to have 10 to 30 man raids that will allow to reach all the way to level 60. That's not going to work. Unless those raids are converted into required leveling locations. Someone like me, I'm gonna skip all that shit. Sorry, buddy. Thanks for revamping this raid, but I ain't gonna do a damn thing in it. Running different specialization of your class from raid to raid will offer additional XP and item rewards. We hope this will increase the amount of players who try out healing and tanking specializations. How about just a call to arms if you want more people to queue up as healers or tanks? I mean, you're probably not gonna get the right people, but it'll help. Yeah, this thing is, if reaching level 60 will take 30% less time than it does now, what's the point of having additional XP and item rewards when chances are I'll be able to level faster just from questing? Man. Completing dungeon raids and battlegrounds with more new blood players will increase rewards for veterans. Yeah, so at some point I'm gonna want to talk about, I'm gonna try to be very appreciative of other games that have been coming out lately, or ones that have been around for a while that have really good features that I'd love WoW to just, hey, let's copy that shamelessly. Don't give a shit. There's no pride lost as long as it's fun, right? The whole, part of the thing with like Final Fantasy XIV sprouts and the incentives to group with them, there's definitely a limitation to that, because 14 is, a lot of it is about leveling and re-leveling again, whereas with WoW you typically have that one character, and then you have the choice, hey, do you want to make an alt or not? You don't really need to, but anyway, let's move on to other things. And I'll say hi to chat a little bit later. Guild halls Yes. And communities. Guild Hall will be an instant zone available to all guild members and outsiders invited to a raid group. Trophy Room will allow you to collect and display guild achievements, new items added for visual effects like statues and etc. Mission Table will also be available in the Guild Hall after reaching certain requirements. This is still discussed as it might cause problems for non-guild characters. Okay. Guild Leader will be able to open portals to raid in instance locations. This will be possible by crafting focusing iris items from different professions and a hefty amount of gold for the upgrade. This kind of sounds like ideas that I had for guild halls like years ago. Maybe they watched it. The portal will lead to the summoning stone instead of the entrance. Still discussed. This will allow access to the zones instead of only the dungeons and might improve player open world interaction. That just sounds like bullshit flapping of gums. This will allow access to the zones instead of only the dungeons and might improve open world interaction. That sounds like someone in high school just trying to bullshit extra words in to sound smart, and it doesn't translate into anything useful. I know this because I do that a lot. So, experience, right? PvP vendor will be available in the guild hall. That includes queuing for rated battlegrounds and arenas. You know, you can just open up a menu too, right? Right? Just boop, and then queue for. Anyway. No, that's whatever. This will require spending a lot of honor points to purchase licenses from Capital City to have their representatives visit our guild hall. Gold cost is being discussed. More fluff. Build-in arena for guild versus guild PvP combat is being worked on. Would work similar to Brawler's Guild. Players would be able to spectate the combat. This is hard to implement and might not make it to final release. Sure. Crafting tables for professions will be available, but very expensive to build. Why do you need a crafting table? Who uses a crafting table? So, like, are you talking about a hammer and anvil? Because, I mean, I got something that I can make from Warlords. Boom, anvil. I still have anvils from when I made them for, like, leveling. And I have them years later. So, Guild Bank would be available if the auctioneer is agreed on. Okay. Training W's will be built by blacksmiths and engineers. Yeah, this seems kind of random. Player versus player. The entry level for new players is too high. What? This is an opinion. The entry level for new players is too high. I don't know, man. And this is very much an opinion, but WoW is like super accessible. I know that commenters will be like, hello, have you not heard of Stygian Embers? But we're not talking about Stygian Embers. I'm just talking about get to max level, and hey, here are buttons that you can press. You know, when it comes to prepping your character, that's a different sort of debate. But when it comes to at least getting the basics down, I think WoW does like a pretty decent job of getting people used to like how classes work and getting people eased into abilities and initial character growth up to max level. Afterwards, it's, you know, it gets a little bit different. But when you actually play through starting content, it really tries to ease you into like all these new features. Hey, here's how this feature works. Da-da-da-da-da-da. You know, click this, go here, farm for this, get used to the experience and that sort of thing. So I guess since this bullet point is under PvP, maybe that's a little bit different. And maybe this is actually, I guess this is just actually talking about like, hey, your PvP item level is like really low, you're going to get stomped. And so new players are having a bit of trouble, maybe. Added daily and weekly PvP quests that will fill in the zone progression bar for rewards. We recognize that some players just want to focus on this aspect of the game and want to improve their experience. We recognize this may limit the open world PvP, but we hope improved rewards for the weekly 25 kills quests will make up for this. Okay. Gear from arenas and rated battlegrounds will scale per This person is very PvP centric. This means that a person with 2400 rating in Arena and 0 rating in Rated Battleground will scale down when starting Battleground, and vice versa with players with high gear from Rated Battleground who start Arenas. We hope this will improve the experience for all the players who are climbing the brackets. Now, I'm not a big PvPer, so I can't really speak to experience or what this really means, but I think it would piss people off a lot if someone is like, hey, I want to get into arenas and like do stuff, even though I have a bunch of gear from Rated Battlegrounds, which is the same gear, but my rating will nerf my power. That seems kind of fucked up, right? New interface that should help with filling your teams. Players will be able to post their profile for a leader to search through. This will contain the basic information like item level and character statistics, both main and secondary, rating, highest lifetime rating and bracket, and games played this season. Leader will be able to filter through class and spec. The system, however, will be subject to change after the PTR, as we fear this might cause toxic behaviors towards players who aren't the absolute top of their class. This person is definitely a PvPer, because they're thinking about, what could happen, and they're sharing their feelings on it, but they still want it. This is a safer kind of projection. It's cool, but it makes it very obvious. Players will be able to spend honor and conquest points on rewards, much like the Valor points were a currency for materials. You will also pay for guild hall cosmetics with this. Different cosmetics will be purchasable with conquest for Valor or gold. This will give the guild hall a flavor that represents the guild's primary focus: PvP, PvE, and merchants. So I'll get to the rest in a little bit, but the problems that I have with a guild hall are that this is just anecdotal, and especially because I run a guild and I've been running a guild for like such a long time. Most people don't give a shit about being in a guild or running a guild. They just want to log in, get their dick wet, and log out once they're satisfied. A lot of the times there, because people want to be able to just kind of work on their own schedule or play at their own schedule, they're not going to care too much for a guild. So these are like nice to have, but the people that want, the people that want these, they're gonna find them. I feel like if guild halls were a thing over player housing, you're gonna find people that really want to be, that they want to have their guild hall with all these amenities and stuff, but no one wants to be part of their guild. Not because they don't want to be part of their guild, but because they have their own guild hall and they want to have their own, they want to have their own expression. So that's a big reason why I think that player housing should come first, and then player housing ought to have, different options that make it kind of cool if people from your guild want to, be part of your house, and this certain house can be, this is the guild house, but then everyone has their own homes if they wanted to, something like that. Anyway, new guild community and recruitment tools. Let's see if they've been watching any of my content. Guild leader will now be able to specify in the LFG tool what class and spec they're looking for. A roster of all interested players will then be available to the guild master and officers. As with Rated Battlegrounds, this will have extended list of information about the candidate, more information about the guild for players searching their home. Like what? Current online, raid progress, rated Battleground rating, top 5 Mythic Plus keys this week. That's a weird thing to track. System is a work in progress. New features will come soon and will be coordinated with cross-faction implementation. Something that I've learned, and take this with a grain of salt, okay? 925, cross-faction, yay, it's coming, right? You can group together, you can do dungeons, you can do PvP, and all that stuff. Cross-faction communities, though, if what I heard is correct, is not happening. I think it might have been like a poor choice of words with the announcement, but it sounds like that's not going to be a thing. Because BattleNet communities are a thing. And those are cross-faction. They're cross-game too, but that's not a solution that satisfies me at all, because not everyone is comfortable with being on display through battle tags and stuff. Anyway, no new class coming this expansion. It says the team is testing a few additional specializations for existing classes. Hunter Tank, based on sharing damage and cooldowns with your pets. Hunter will be able to shortly merge with its pet's soul to greatly increase the hunter's abilities. Different pets will... Wait. Shouldn't... So who's the tank? The hunter or the pet? Because whose abilities should be enhanced? Well, anyway. Different pets will provide different raid cooldowns and will require some planning before combat. I want that to be a thing again, but I don't know. Paladin buffing spec. Damage and healing done converts into targetable and passive buffs for party and raid members. The higher the damage and heals, the stronger the buffs. So it's kind of like the old raid buffs, like replenishment and stuff. But depending on the paladin's DPS, it gets better or something like that. Okay. It's I don't know. It's kind of like Judgment of Light. You know, you throw a judgment, you know, the enemy gets a debuff, everyone gets healed. But the more damage you do, the better buff you get. That wouldn't be so bad. I could see that scaling getting way out of control though. That doesn't sound very feasible. Especially if you're putting so much. Here's the problem with support classes. Support, you know, having a support class of sorts, they're either going to be like totally worthless, or they're going to be absolutely required. You know, heals, tanks, DPS, support. There's a very fine line to walk. Actually, you can't even really walk that line. It's going to be an either or sort of thing. And I don't have the comprehension to really describe like how that would work well. Early testing of the spec showed potential, but we felt the class might feel too mandatory for Mythic Plus if not handled correctly. I don't care about your opinions, I just care about the leaks. A Shaman tank is also being discussed, but most likely won't make it to expansion release. Alright. Raid and Mythic Plus, new raid progression system. Similar to honor levels. Every boss kill will award you progression points towards the next reward. Higher difficulty will reward more experience. Every level offers a reward item like mounts, cosmetics, and a tabard and a hero's chest. Hero's chest may contain additional chance for a rare mount, pet, and account-bound XP token, which is totally not necessary, and a very low chance for a raid BOE item. Killing trash mobs will also grant a limited XP amount, but only once per reset. Now, we've seen things like, hey, you get this tabard that you can buy on a character, and now they can get like a buff to their rep and stuff. But we haven't really seen something that straight up says, you want alts? Here's how to boost your alts. I don't think we've really seen something like that outside of heirloom gear. Like, that was kind of it. Oh well. Mythic Plus, similar to Raid, we want to offer progression system to one more thing on this. This actually seems kind of cool, like a Raid honor level of sort. The small concern that I would have long term, the concern that I have would be, what if the raid's no longer relevant? Like, how would someone be able to progress through this? Like, let's say if they are, just a solo person, they don't do any of that stuff with groups. They only farm raids, 2 expansions later when it becomes legacy mode. How would that work? Anyway, kind of interesting idea though. Mythic Plus, similar to Raid, we want to offer progression system to dungeons. Trash and boss will fill the progress bar by a small amount. Finishing the dungeon will be the main focus, as it will grant much more points to the progress bar. Yeah, this is flawed already. It should be only finishing the dungeon, because if you do anything short of finishing the dungeon, then people will just farm like the early shit, or they'll be incentivized to leave. It's either do the whole thing, in my opinion, at least, do the whole thing or not. Rewards will be similar to Raid. Mounts, pets, tabards, and a chest. Experience tokens can also drop from chests, but at a much lower rate. Chests will also contain augment runes, crafting resources, and a chance for sockets consumable. Leaving a time keystone before it's finished will lower your ult. Really? So that's what they're trying to do here. Yeah, this is definitely one of those elite sort of players. Leaving a keystone before it's finished will lower your level, kind of, sort of. Yeah, so you have to finish. Frequent leaving of time keystones will cause a visible debuff on your character for a fixed amount of time. Finishing dungeons after the time limit will grant a better buff to your character. Dungeons will be slightly shorter. We want the timer to be around 32 minutes. It was intended to be even lower, but that cause affecting the timing, the bloodlust, and whatever, which we wanted to avoid. New expansions will be discussed in a later post. That's a battle pass adapted for WoW. You know, that does kind of have like a similar feel to it, right? A battle pass. I mean, that's what we had with the current honor system. You know, from going from Legion to BFA, we suddenly got like the honor rewards, and we got all these different things. And I haven't got anything in a while because there's no more Warden Towers. But yeah, that was a thing, and to me, that wasn't so bad, especially because they were just cosmetic things. Like, I'd love to see more things added to stuff like that. The concern, though, of course, is going, and the other thing is that it would be an account-wide thing. We have very few account-wide things in WoW. Honor is one of those things that is definitely like account-wide. Yeah, so having something like that, I think long term it could be an interesting idea. It just really depends on how it's implemented. But for now, that wraps up this episode of League Season. I want to thank everyone for coming. I know that some of these were kind of dogs, or these were kind of a drag. But talk about your favorite one, talk smack about your not so favorite ones, and otherwise like and subscribe for more content. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.